Oh, a little red hen. Oh, red hen is not that one. He's a complete.
You have the character. Not in this case because it's not the person's first name. Okay? But the little red hen, you can capitalize little red hen. You are correct. Okay. Very good. Good job, buddy. All right. I want to make sure you have the 3 characters written down. The pronouns that the narrator used, the pronouns that the third person narrator used to describe the characters. Because those are the pronouns that signal to us as readers, this character is not telling the story. Someone else is telling the story about this character. Okay? And I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds before we move on to the next thing. If you don't get all the way done, it's okay. These 2 are for you guys, okay? Yep. You choose. Yep. You'll see. All right, class.
Yes. Yeah, we have 2.
All right, now you will notice. Okay, pencils down. Quiet hands, eyes on me. Pencils down. Quiet hands, eyes on me. Thank you for everybody who has their pencil down. Eyes on me. Perfect. I dropped off 2 sentence strips like this because what we're going to do together as a whole class is we're going to rewrite this story, but we're going to do it from the first person perspective of the hen, of the little red hen. So the beginning of the story starts over here. What you're going to notice is that with your strips, I told you which part of the story you're going to write. So over here, our friends have the beginning. It says, write a sentence about where the hen lives. That's what these friends are going to be writing about. So they're going to think back to the beginning of that story. And they're going to write a sentence about where the hen lives. But I want everybody, you need to really, really listen. Listen. We're going to write it from the perspective of the hen. Now the hen's telling the story. So how is she going to say that? One morning I woke up in my home. Now she's going to be talking about herself. She's telling the story. Okay? And can everybody read their Post-it note which part of the story you're going to be writing? You see it?
Sentence about how the hen built when.
Perfect, okay. So you and your partner are going to read that. You're going to write that part of the story, but from the first person perspective of the hen. Okay? Turn to your partner and make sure you guys know what to do when I get started. Give me a thumbs up. Miss Brittany, we know what to do. Thumbs up. Miss Brittany, we know what to do. All right, ready? Go. You and your partner are going to work on the sentence together. Good job.
Oh no! Keep it here on the.
You're going to use the Post-it and you're writing the sentence together.
You write one word. You start.
Can you guys rewrite that sentence? Raise your So you guys are going to come up together and you're going to write it on this. You have two. You're going to think back to that part of the story. Think back to that part of the story. When the hen got upset. And now you're going to retell it as if you're the hen. I jumped out of the sack really quickly. Something like that. Okay? But you're going to do it together as a partnership. Okay? Are you guys writing together? Perfect. You guys came up with the idea together? Let's see. Is this the hen talking about herself? That's still in third person, right? So you want to make sure it's I. That's okay. Or you can flip it, or I can give you a new one.
I instead. On account
All eyes on me, please. All eyes on me. Pencils down. Class. Now, I have to wait till it's perfectly quiet because I see lots of friends who need my help right now. That's why I'm here. Now, you guys are doing a great job remembering the parts of the story. All eyes on me. Now, some of you, though, are writing, and I saw you say things like the hen or she. And I'm asking you to write in the first person. Everyone say first person. So you're now telling the story like you are the hen. So if I'm telling a story about myself, do I say, today she came to the school, she drove in her car. Am I talking about myself right now?
No.
I'm talking about somebody else. If I'm telling a story about myself, I say, I got in the car. Look at what you've written. And did you say she or I? You should be pretending you're writing this story like the hen because you're going to write it in first person. Look at what you've written. If you wrote she or you wrote the little hen, you're still writing in third person. You need to go back and edit and revise that, okay? Make sure it's I. All right, keep working. Doing great.
And you're not actually using the lines. Still like switch now. And the right hand.
I understand. I'll give you a little bit. You guys will write the same sentence together. Yep. And then where do you think? Where do you think? I'll take a look at this. One morning I woke up. You guys are writing the same sentence. Work together to finish the sentence together. Good job. Pen feels. So when you say the pen feels, are you writing it first person? Are you writing like the hen's telling the story? No, so we need to change that and say, I feel. And then I want to make sure that you're writing the same sentence working together. Okay? Good. He was chasing, so here's what he was chasing a hen. Is she telling the story in the sentence? Now, what would you have to change for her? He was chasing. I know, but it's right here. Are you writing like the hen? So what do you need to change? He was chasing me. So cross that out right now. All right. Most everybody has their sentence completed.
Yeah.
I want you to read it back over it, or finish it if you're still writing. I want you to make sure that it starts with a capital letter. I want you to make sure that there is appropriate punctuation at the end. And I'm going to give you one more minute. Can I pull that up here to the front? Okay. So, in 1 minute, I'm going to have us come back to the carpet and you're going to bring your sentence with you. Okay? In 1 minute. So you have 1 minute to finish your sentence with your partner.
Oh, wow.
Take a whole minute. When you hear my bell ring, I want you to grab your sentence and bring it to the front of the room with me. Okay? In 1 minute. Wait for my bell.
I can. As fast as drop in the backpack and run home as fast as I jumped out and in the backpack and run home as fast as I jumped out and run home.
All right, I want you and your partner to bring your sentence to the carpet, and we are going to share.
Wait, how will you bring
All right, I want everybody in the carpet. In 5, 4. Let's make good decisions. Good decisions. 3, 2. Everybody have a seat. And 1. All right. So now we're going to see something very cool. The first team who sits right here, can you raise your hand? May I please have your sentence? All right, this is the beginning of our story. And the beginning of a paragraph, we want to always make sure that we indent. Do you see how I leave that indent?
Oh, my paper.
One morning, I woke up in the, and I'm going to just cut this right like this, in the forest. Now, let me ask you a question. Is this how the story began? The story we read? Where in the beginning of the story, the hen was in the forest? Yes? Yes, that's how it started. And then, did our teammates here correctly write in the first person? The hen said I? Yes? Good job. All right. Who was next? The next team. Over here. All right. Very good. So, we're going to continue the story. I went to the hen's house and I snatched the hen. All right, what do we notice about this one? Who's telling the story now?
The fox.
The fox. Are we telling the story from the fox perspective?
No.
No, that's coming next. So we would want to make sure that we go back and we fix that to tell the story from whose perspective? The hen. But you want to know what this one did very well? It's written in the first person's perspective. So good job, point of view. All right, who was next? Right here. Right here.
Ashmita and Siren. Ashmita and Siren.
Perfect. All right. I feel sad because the fox is going to eat me. Oh no, that is so sad. All right, who was next? Who was next? Who's right here? Okay.
Why is it so small?
Oh.
This is one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first.
Perfect. All right. Now.
I think what if I have to oh! Are you kidding?
I feel scared because I could get cooked and eaten. And I don't want to be eaten because nobody likes that. Who's next? Who comes next? Is it you guys that are next?
Yeah,
Over here?
And
He was chasing me. And he was clever. All right, who's next? Who comes next over here? Good. All right. Oh, but does somebody have the detail of when the hen gets snatched? Who has the detail of when the hen is actually caught? Do you have when the hen actually gets caught? Good. All right. So we need to scooch this right down here. And here we go. I was very scared and struggling to get out of the sack. Good. Now, who has the next detail about where the fox decides to take a nappy? Who has the nap? Okay. All right. Perfect. I think he's going to get on and jump out of the sack. All right. And I think the hen is going to get tied up and jump out of the sack. So you guys wrote this together. Very good. All right. And who's next? Who's next? All right. Let's see. Oh, this is at the end. I never came back again, and the fox never bothered me again. I'm going to stick that down here. Who has the next detail after?
What?
Let's see this one. I felt good when I escaped the mean fox. Very
And
good.
crafty fox.
Mean and crafty fox. I love it. Are there any other details we need to add? Okay, let's see this detail. Where does this one fit? I jumped out and I put a big rock into the sack. Put that one right there. I jumped out and put a big, and as fast as I can, we're going to put that one right there. Good. What other details do we have?
I'm asking
Let's mind our own. Can you come into your little box here, sweetie? Come on. Thank you. All right. Are there any other details? That's okay. I felt proud of myself. What do you have? All right. I felt proud. We're going to put that detail right here. And put the rock, let's see. And here is another one about putting the rock in the sack. So, here's what I want to share with you guys, okay? Do you see, let's look at this story, okay? One morning, I woke up in the forest. I went to the hen's house. Now, right there, I get a little confused when I'm reading it because now there are two different people telling the story, and that confuses me. So one little thing that we would need to change there is just make sure that this right here says, and the fox came to my house, because I'm telling the story like the hen, right?
Yeah.
But what I want to show you guys is this right here, this beautiful story that we told together, is what's called a draft. Can you say draft? Draft. Say it, draft. Did you guys know that when you try something for the first time, it's not going to be perfect? Did you know that? Did you know that we all make mistakes all the time? Did you actually know something really cool? Can I have all eyes on me? Wiggly hands if you need them. Did you know that you actually learn more when you make a mistake than if you get it right the first time? Did you know that? That if you make a mistake, you actually learn more. So I want to show you something, because I want to show you, the next thing that you're going to do is, and you don't have to do it right after this, but if you guys were my students, the next thing you would do is I would go and have you do the same thing by yourself this time, but you would retell the story from the point of view of the fox. See how this was from the hen? Now we would try it as the fox. So check this out. I gave this to a student of mine once. And this was the student's first draft. Look at this. The fox wanted to eat the hen. Is this told in the perspective of the fox? Like the fox is telling the story? It's not, because it says right here, the fox. If it was written from the fox's point of view, I want to eat the hen. So you want to know what I told my student? I said, hun, great start. It's the right story, you got the right characters, but you need to make sure it's in the first person. So what do you think my student did? Did they give up?
No.
No, what did they do?
Kept on trying.
They kept on trying. You want to see the next draft? This is the next draft. Let's see what we notice. If anything is different. I want you to be noticing what's different about this draft. So then just notice. One day, I decided to capture the hen for dinner. Did my student get it this time? Did the student get it?
Then my mom.
This is Brian, by the way. Brian wrote this story. And what Brian realizes, oh my gosh, I wasn't writing in the first person. I was still writing in the third person, like I'm a third person narrator. I need to go back and rewrite it like I'm telling it from the perspective of the fox. So one day, did he do a good job? Give him a yes, good job, Brian, you got it. Okay, good. And then he says, I decided to capture the hen for dinner. I did it. Then my mom got mad.
Why?
Is that really what happened in the story?
No.
Did he tell enough details, like to retell the whole story?
No.
Brian didn't. So Brian understood that he had written it in the first person. That's great. But Brian needed to go back and he needed to add more details. Everybody say details. All right. So what did Brian do? Did he give up? No. Do you guys make mistakes sometimes? What do you have to do? You have to keep trying. So here's his next try. One day, I decided to capture the little red hen for dinner. I went to her house and captured her in a sack. Did Brian add more details from the story? He did. Good job, Brian. She got away by a trick, so my mom was angry.
What? No.
Is that the full story? Did he tell the whole story? No, he did not tell the whole story. So what did he do? Did he give up?
Nope.
He didn't.
Again?
He wrote again. How many drafts has Brian written so far?
4.
He's on his 4th try now. Let's see how much better he got. Okay. One morning, I thought of a great plan. I like that start. I told my mom to get a pot of water ready for cooking. I went deep into the forest and found a little red hen. She flew away, and that was all.
What?
Wait a second, Brian. Did Brian maybe run out of time and try and not write the same ending? Maybe. Did he give up, though?
No.
I love his beginning. And why is it? Because it has all the details, and it tells me a lot about the setting, what I can actually see. So Brian went back, and look at what he did. I said, Brian, give it your best shot, bud. Okay? And here's what he came up with. Are you ready?
Yeah.
One morning, I came up with a great plan to capture the little red hen. I told my mom to boil some water and left to find the hen. Because I'm very sneaky, I snuck into her house. When she wasn't looking, I pounced. The hen was tough and she flew into the rafters. After a struggle, I caught her and I put her in a sack. On the way home, I felt very sleepy and stopped for a nap. After, I returned home to cook her, but when I opened the sack, it was a stone. She tricked me.
Yay.
All right, how'd Brian do?
Good.
Didn't he do a good job?
This is his 5th try.
That's his 5th try. How many times did he try? 5
I
times.
think I know.
And that's what I want you guys to always know. How many times did we try right here?
3.
How many times?
4.
1. This is our first try. How many more times would we want to try before we finally gave something to teacher? How many more times would we want to rewrite this and make sure that we were
24.
3, 4, 5?
25.
Okay.
A million.
Class.
Yes.
If I asked you now to go and rewrite the story from the perspective of the fox, just like Brian did, do you think that you could do a good job doing that? Okay, and so what I want you to try and do is, on the back side of the piece of paper that I gave you earlier, I want you to go and try and rewrite the story from the first person perspective, as if you were the fox. And your teacher's going to take over and do whatever, but that's what I want you to go back and get started on right now, okay? Ready, go.